Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Let's take a quick look here at Bitcoin, see what's going on. Holy cow, it is so nice to be wrong in this situation. I have no problem with it at all when we have a significant fundamental catalyst and breaking through that local point of control at 97,000. Technically, that's the macro point of control. We have a tremendous amount of volume at that area. We'll look at that here in a minute. But just so you know, in case you're not familiar with why this happened, this is a significant fundamental catalyst. Basically, Donald Trump tweeting again as soon as that occurred last night. We saw another pump, but more importantly, today is taking off because there's a major trade deal that, if I understand correctly, it kind of resolved itself neutrally. There was nothing like crazy in either direction, but I just think the market is like ready to get back on track. And quick little heads up too, if you kind of take a look as well, there was a pretty significant unusual buying activity, about $2.3 billion in purchasing power there on futures in just under 12 minutes. So a lot of stuff's going on right now. Decent chance we continue. You don't want to try to short against this. That's the easy way to understand it. And if you're going to do anything, consider taking longs. It's just difficult to want to take a long at what feels like the top. This is probably a very short-term or tentative top, but it is a top nonetheless based on the simple fact that we're just like super overextended here on the short periods of time. So anyways, let's take a look at the back-end liquidation data. I'm willing to guess that once this 101, 102K range is swept, we'll see a cooling period. We see here liquidation between 100,000 to about 100,000, 101,000. That's it. And unfortunately, this is like a slight delay because if I'm not mistaken, we're seeing 101K on the charts right now. Hold on, let's pull this up here. There we go. There you can see that liquidation sweep there between 100 and 101K. So all local liquidation has been fully swept. That's just the more recent stuff here. From a larger perspective, there are still some lower leverage shorts between 104 and 102. Obviously, all the way down as low as about 101. So 101 to 104 is kind of that range, just to kind of give you some perspective. Once more, I'll post these playout charts on my Twitter, Telegram, and Discord if you're not familiar. They do look a little something like this here, where I go ahead and post that information there. But I am easily okay with saying I was wrong with my analysis pretty much all week, honestly. But once more, you want to be more safer than sorry in this market. And honestly, FOMOing into a key level resistance, at least at the time, before the fundamental catalyst would have been a bad idea. So I don't really feel too terrible about recommending, playing it safe and staying on the sidelines for the most part. We closed our shorts early, thank goodness. And at this point, just kind of wondering, where do we get in here? That's the question I get a lot. So let's try to see if we can figure that out. Liquidation delta, 20 billion, folks. That is quite a lot. In fact, I wonder if that went up since we, 25 billion now after that little refresh in the last 15 minutes. So we got a lot of liquidation in the market right now, essentially implying that the bulls are in play. So you don't want to try to short against this, even though there's a distinct probability we're going to go down. So just note that's kind of where we're at for the moment. Nothing too crazy or outrageous, but kind of standard par for the course. So let's take a quick look here and kind of see where we're at as far as the overall sentiment with open interest. There's not a whole heck of a lot here locally. We can see there's a decent amount of buying at 97,500. So that's kind of like that secondary area of interest. So if we get lucky and the price pulls back to 97.5, it seems like a logical place to consider averaging in. Okay, so just kind of a thought there, but that's open interest kind of letting us know. At this point here, we're going to look at the macro, kind of get some perspective here on, first of all, the weekly, because there's a weekly candlestick closure coming up here. Actually, it almost looks like it's going to be hit here relatively soon on the weekly. So simply put, 104,500, that's kind of a key level. We have never closed above on the weekly at that level. So just note that's kind of a tentative resistance for us. Closing above that would probably imply a pretty significant bullish uptrend. But at this point, it's quite obvious that we are having a bullish uptrend. It's just so short term and or fundamentally fueled that it's going to cause unique analysis here in the overall sense. Okay, so let's take a look here. First of all, let's look at the RSIs. Everything looks pretty solid here on the weekly. We've moved back up above our weekly moving average. And then of course, money flow index is a little bit lagging behind. So we want to pay attention to our volume, but from a weekly perspective, we got a MACD convergence. Things are looking pretty solid. Okay. So we're on the edge of pretty awesome stuff, pending we don't have, another ridiculous, situation with tariffs. Keep in mind, that's totally a thing and it absolutely could occur. But from a technical standpoint here, we are absolutely shifting gears, and we can see we're up over 70 in the RSI. You don't want to short against this either. Now, would I recommend taking along right now at this exact moment? It's difficult to do that, honestly, because it feels like at the top. But you got to recognize with this kind of like this fury that we're seeing right now in the market, it's like everybody's like blood drunk or something, right? I don't know the right term for it, but it just people just shut up and take my money right now. So that's awesome. You want to get in where you fit in that regard. This is a positive sign, probably more likely to go higher. But I want you to recognize that this could cool off at some point, and we could very well see a retracement here. But I think we're on track to see further upside. So taking longs right now makes a lot more sense than taking shorts. But you do want to be careful and just watch them kind of close. Don't just like set along, walk away, and act like you don't care about a stop loss. We know exactly why stop losses are important. Okay, so daily time frame, just kind of summarize, we're in very good shape. We have a MACD FU. We're supposed to diverge, but nope, just kidding. We're going straight up again. We can also see stochastic swinging up. These are all very, very positive signs. How long or how sustainable is it? It's hard to say specifically. As long as the volume continues, that's pretty much what we want to pay the most attention to. So if you see here, these large volume candles that are above the moving average, if that maintains itself, we're in good shape. Okay, we just cannot start seeing these dips in volume. That would be obviously disadvantageous. So from a local time frame perspective in this range here, in case you didn't already know this, we have a lot of volume at the 94.5 mark. So if we get lucky and we see the $94,000 range again, it's a solid place to consider entry. Secondary to that would be this area of open interest at 97.5. That is kind of the local area of open interest. It's also the local high. It would be sensible for that to be the next area of retracement. It's also a 0.65 fib level on the macro. So this is a macro, the key fib level here range. So that's a golden pocket. So if the price were to come down at some point, it seems very logical from a larger perspective that would be a very logical place to get in. Once more, it's based on fib levels from the local high to the local low, from roughly 110 down to 75K. So that's kind of the larger the fib levels, at least time frame, the more reliable they can be. So in this case here, that's just a heavier area of confluence. We also have a lot of volume to there as well. Outside of obviously the $84,000 mark, we can see 97K is that largest point. Cool. So that's kind of what we got there. The overall sentiment here is up. It's safe to presume we're going to go higher. Just be very careful of FOMOing into the top right now. While I do feel like we're probably going to likely see a continuation of the next 48 hours or 24 hours. Keep in mind, tomorrow's Friday. We're coming into a weekend. Weekends are notoriously red. I'd be surprised if we see a pump continuing through the weekend. I'm willing to guess we'll see some residual today and tomorrow to the upside, but more likely than not, some kind of tapering effect over the weekend. We'll see her soon. Between now and then, be careful and cautious, and try not to get too pump drunk. Or I'll have to figure out a good term for it. Maybe you can comment below and let me know. What is a good term to describe people that just get crazy and just keep on shoving money in the market? I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. Okay, thanks again so much for watching. We look forward to seeing you in the next one. Have a great rest of the day. Thanks so much again. Take care.